and welcome back to Temple Boy Turnings. I am Steve and this is episode 1 of the Sphere Art series. In this episode we are going to turn this, which is a piece of poplar I believe. It's 100mm square or 4 inches square by 170mm long or 6.5-ish inches long. It's not a great piece of wood, but it is great for turning the first sphere if this is something that you're new to, like I am. When you're going to be practicing turning these spheres, do not use your best piece of cherry wood or exotic wood that you have on the shelf. You want to just pick up a hard piece of wood, but something that's bland and that you're not too worried about messing up. When you do finish your sphere and it looks kind of okay, then there's nothing to stop you from embellishing it with texture, pyrography or something later on and making it into a piece of art. So it won't go to waste, but if you do mess it up, it's not going to hurt you too much. In this episode, we're going to go through how to make the jigs, just the basic jigs that you can make out of pieces of plywood that you have around your shop. And we're going to turn, hopefully, as accurate sphere as we can get, just using traditional tools. So let's head over to the lathe and get this between centres and start our journey on sphere art. Okay, you can start with any kind of wood you like I said before. You can start with a log or any square piece of stock. You've just got to make sure that obviously it's longer than it's wider because you need to make a sphere. Right, so what we need to do is we need to obviously find the centre of our blank. Very simply, corner to corner, corner to corner. And again, corner to corner, the other end, and corner to corner. Just like so. I like to just use a centre punch and just get just a small little divot, both ends. It just makes it easier to locate the spur drive and light centre between centres. So we're in between centres and we're just going to start off, we're just going to turn this block round. There's no measurements involved at all. Okay, so we have the cylinder turned to the maximum size cylinder we can get out of the piece of wood. And now the next stage is we need to find out what the diameter of that cylinder is. You just get a calipers, find out your width. Until you get your width in the calipers. You then quite simply take your tape and you take that measurement, which is 91mm, or in old school, just under 3 5/8. Now I always go to the nearest measurement. If you've got a tape measure that takes both millimetres and inches, go to the nearest measurement. I find millimetres to be much more accurate when we're doing spheres. So I'm going to turn this down just 1mm down to a 90mm cylinder. Alright, I have that turned down to a 90mm cylinder. And it's from this that we're going to go with our measurement. So we are going to end up with a 90mm diameter sphere from this piece of wood. And that's the measurement we're going to go with from now on when we make the donut chuck and everything to hold the sphere afterwards. So we're going to go with this 90mm ball. You will just adapt to whatever size cylinder you end up with the stock of wood that you have. Okay, so the next stage is that we need to find the centre of our blank, which is 85mm, because this is 170mm long. So we'll get that line all the way around. And then because we're making a 90mm sphere, we're going to go 45mm either side of that centre line. We'll then get these two lines marked all the way around as well. Next, we're going to create the jig for forming our 1 inch wide spigots either side of where our sphere is going to be. Now it's at this point we're going to make our first template. It's quite a simple template. It's just made from a piece of plywood. You can use any thickness piece of ply you want. And all we're going to do is cut a 1 inch or 25 millimeter slot into that piece of wood. This is going to act as your caliper or guide, but every time you turn your two side spindles down either side of your sphere, you can just use this. It's going to speed it up, and you can just turn one-handed with your parting tool, which I will demonstrate in a second, and just use this caliper. It's a lot quicker and speeds the process up a bit. Right, so just quite simply to mark this out, we're going to find the centre of our scrap piece of wood. So around about 32.5. It doesn't have to be super accurate. That's our centre mark. We need a 1 inch slot or a 25 mil slot. So we need to go 12.5 either way of that. Or if you're doing it the other way, you need a 1/2 inch either side. And then we're just going to reference those lines down, all the way down. Once you have your width, you just need to go down your depth. You're only going to be making a 1 inch cylinder, so you don't need to go down too far. I just went double the width, which is 50 millimeters. And that gives you your slot, and we're just going to be cutting this section out. You can do that with any hand tool, any saw, a jigsaw, or in my case I do it with the bandsaw. And there you go, there's your simple caliper for making the spindles either side of your sphere. Okay, so now we have our 1 inch jig for working out our spigots either side of our sphere. And all we're going to do is quite simply turn both sides of this blank down to 1 inch round so that we have enough room to form our sphere. Okay, as you can see, I didn't go right to the line straight away. You just need to work your way back to that line. We need to be as accurate as possible to these lines so that our length is exactly the same as our width. Otherwise we're just not going to get an equal sphere. So now we're just going to work our way back slowly to the line. There we go, I've just left my pencil mark on the edge for now. And we'll just do the same the other side. So we've turned this both sides down to the edge of the pencil mark. We've still got the pencil showing, so we should be just slightly too wide, which we are. So now we've just got to take back either side until we get our calipers to slide on there nice and snug. And that should be us. There we go. Perfect. The same wide as we are round. Now we're ready to turn our sphere. Alright, the next stage in our sphere is we obviously need to start turning this round. turning from the centre, taking these edges away to form our ball or our sphere. But before we do that, we're going to make our second jig. You can make all these jigs or templates out of thick cardboard and just cut them with a pair of scissors if you want. I just find that if you make them out of plywood, I'll always have a 90mm sphere guide made out of plywood that I can just throw up into the shelf. You're going to need a really good compass. Now I would suggest that you go and buy yourself a good metal compass that will hold either a pencil or one like this that holds its own lead. Don't get one of the cheap plastic ones because they're not accurate at all and they flop about and move. You need a decent compass. To make this template, I'm going to need the diameter of our sphere, which is 90mm, and to be able to draw a 90mm circle, obviously we need the radius, which is half the diameter. So we need this to set our compass to 45mm. Now I'm sorry for those of you that are working in inches. You guys can work to your own size sphere, and there we go, that's 45mm. And then in the centre of our piece, of roughly about the centre, it doesn't have to be super accurate, we draw a circle. There you go, one 90mm circle. Now we need to find a cross reference exactly halfway across our circle. Now we have our centre point here where our compass was, but we don't know our next mark to find a 90°. Now if you had a perfectly square piece of wood, you could take a square and you could just draw straight down through your centre marks. This isn't a perfectly square piece of wood. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to set my compass to more than the radius. Doesn't matter how much more. And then I'm going to go to the top or the bottom. I'll start at the top here. And I'm going to make an arc. One there and one there. And then I'm going to go the opposite side, so in this case in the bottom, and I'm going to draw another arc. One there and one there. So we look like this. This will then give us our exact halfway mark from this point and this point through the centre. Take our ruler and draw that line across. That's now given us a parallel line right across our circle. Now we need to find the other centre mark. Where the line you've just drawn passes the circle, the edge of the circle, you put the point of your compass and you make your arc again, top and bottom. Over to the other side where the lines cross, arc, arc, and that gives you a 90° line through the centre, top to bottom. You now have two accurate lines set in the centre of your circle that you can mark your jig from. Next stage, you want to mark 45mm at the very top here, and you want to draw a line from the very edge of the circle up through that point, and the same this side. There you go. Next you want to measure up both sides of the circle on your outer lines here 12.5 millimeters or half an inch, and then draw another line parallel to your centre line. We're then going to go to the bandsaw. We're going to cut out this section and we're going to cut this line across here. Once you have that cut out, you just need an equal distance either side . You want to just cut up an angle both sides to form your template. So you're going to cut this out, this, and that. And that will form your template. And there's your template, ready for turning the sphere. Our lines line up there nicely, ready to start turning. And basically all we need to do now is we need to take the bulk of these corners away and keep referencing our jig. The more we take away, just keep bringing our jig on until we take shape. There we go, we've taken quite a lot of the bulk away now and we've started to look sphere-like. Now there's a couple of things that you need to remember. Do not take this line away. Keep your centre line here all the time. If you take away that line at all, you're going to lose your 90mm width and you're not going to get an accurate sphere. So we now bring our reference over, and if I swing that round, you can see there that we still have quite a gap at the top, but we're not bad on the spherical shape. So now we just need to start taking away this part here and this part here. The other rule that I have found to stick to is don't go any deeper than your 1-inch spindle that you have either side. Stop each time you come round with your gouge, stop at the spindle, stop at the spindle, and you can always refine this bit as a last stage. There we go, we are almost pretty much to our template, as you can see. And now I'm just going to refine it using the skew as a negative rake scraper. You can use a scraper as well. You just need to be very light touches, and we're just refining the shape now into a sphere. And it's now that we can just take away a small amount of this spindle, probably go down another 1 or 2 millimeters, that's all. We don't want to go in, we just want to go straight down with the skew point, and I'll show you what I mean with that. There we go. So we've just gone down just a small little divot either side of the sphere, and what that does is it allows the two corners here that you have just to nest nicely in there, and it will allow us to get the final cut nice and accurate with our template. And there we go. That is pretty close to our template. We want to just spin it round and make sure that it's following the sphere, and I think we're pretty good there. I'm only going to 220. It's not a perfect finish, but it will do for the practice that we're doing. The next stage we're going to do is we're going to cut this sphere here, leaving around about 5mm or 1/4 of an inch either side of the spindle. There we go. Now we have a sphere with our two end grain knobs ready to put into the jig that I'm about to show you how to make now. Alright, so next up we need to make a jig that will hold our sphere in this orientation, so it spins this way, so that we can take away the two knobs and finally get our completed sphere. You're going to need 2 scrap blocks. I've got a piece of the poplar that I'm using for the spheres here, and another mystery piece of wood. I don't know what it is. It could be beech. I'm not sure. We'll start with the tailstock. Find the center of your small block. Now, this is going to differ with different lathes and different size live centers that you have. Turn it over, and we're going to get the center the other side as well. Just give ourselves a small little divot in the center, both sides. Okay, we're just going to start off by making that round. I've put it in between centers and I've just turned it round. We are around about 55mm diameter, and I'm just going to clean up both these sides now just to get it square, and put a tiny small tenon on one side so I can hold it in my chuck. So I have my piece in the chuck, and now what I need to do is I need to hollow out this side so that my live center will fit inside there nice and snug and tight. Okay, so that's what we want. So we start off loose and we kind of go a funnel, kind of a very slight angle in, so that as this tailstock will push in, it will push and it will tighten, and it will be a nice snug fit for when it's pushed against the sphere. So that's good. We need to reverse this round and put it into my small chuck. And now we're ready to turn this front spherical cone. I'm probably going to make this one slightly bigger because this is for a smaller sphere. So I'll use my sphere so that it fits nicely just on the very front of the sphere there. I think that is pretty good to what I want. I think that'll do. We're going to make the headstock side, and it's literally the same again. 95mm square by 60mm deep, or 3 3/4 square by 2 3/8 deep. Between centres, and let's make this round 2. Okay, and that is ready for putting into the chuck. So we're going to turn this into a cone shape, and then the front face will be concave to take the shape of the sphere again. So we're just going to start by taking a lot of this bulk away. It's literally just turned a cone shape. Our front face now is around about 50mm diameter, 2 inches. Okay, we need a bit more. Okay, that's sitting in there very nicely now. What I need to do now is I've cut a piece of rubber padding. This is just from one of those non-slip mats that you can get. You can get them pretty cheap from the dollar store or the pound shop or the euro shop. You just cut a circle, and take some double-sided tape and just line the inside, and then you just take your rubber pad, put it on as central as you can, and get your sphere and use it to push that mat into place, and that gets it nice and even in there. Again, I just have a smaller pad, just sit that gently on there and use the sphere to push that in again. We're going to find the numbers on our jaws, and we're going to mark here 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's so that when we put this back in the chuck again, we know it's going to be true and it's going to fit on this chuck again. Now you can use a faceplate, which means it will be permanently fixed to a faceplate. I just don't have any spare faceplates at the moment. Or you can drill and tap and thread these so they go straight onto your spindle on your lathe. And now what we want to do is we want to just place our sphere in our jig, slide our tailstock up so it's just holding it, tighten that down, and now we can maneuver this so that it's 90 degrees to the bed, and tighten everything down, and that should have your sphere ready for turning these knobs down. And all we're going to do is we're going to use a gouge and turn these knobs off. We're going to be looking at the shadowing and slowly reduce the shadowing down until it disappears. Don't take the shadow completely off. Keep stopping the lathe, looking back, and just take it very easy. And then when you get to the final stage, again you can use the skew just to finish it off. Let's just see how it runs. I think that's running okay. And let's turn and finish our sphere. See we are. We're good there. We're still keeping the shape of the ball. That is sanded to 220. It's good enough for our test piece. And that is our sphere or our ball. You can spin the ball round, and that's pretty good all the way round on that sphere. I'm happy with it. And that's good enough for our practice piece. And for our next stage for episode 2. And there you go, guys. One 90mm or 3.5 inch-ish sphere. It's pretty accurate. I now have all the jigs and that to keep making them this size, and I hope it's helped you. If you have any questions at all about the jigs or measurements or how the process is done at all, just throw it in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm going to try a new thing with this video with marking the times of different parts of the videos. So I'll mark in the description below times, and then next to it the sections that it is. And all you have to do is click on that time, and it will bring you straight to that part in the video, so you can go back and reference on the videos later on. I hope that's helped you guys. Let me know if I'm doing it right. If not, I don't mind making another video on turning these spheres again. I want to get this right for you so that you can have some fun, and I am having a lot of fun with these. That's episode 1 of sphere art. Episode 2 is going to be making the donut chuck that holds these spheres for when we start adding the artwork and the holes and hollowing and all that kind of good stuff. So the donut chuck is in episode 2, and until then, good luck with turning your spheres. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in episode 2. Bye bye.